Ladies and gentlemen, we got breaking news coming from the Louder with Crowder team that is shocking and offensive. Now, the news was released earlier this morning, but the official report didn't come out till Timcast News Live had begun. But we now have the updates. NYC Covid Czar held secret drug-fueled sex parties during the pandemic. That's right. While in New York, your business was shut down. Your inventory rotted and was destroyed. And you struggled to survive. While we saw videos of police threatening to arrest store owners for live streaming their products. I kid you not. This guy brags about how he was having drug-fueled sex parties. Dr. Jay Varma, former senior advisor of public health in the New York City mayor's office, quote, I had to be kind of sneaky about it. I was running the entire COVID response for the city. We rented a hotel. We all took Molly. 8 to 10 of us were in a room, just being naked with friends. What the? I'm going to tell you right now. I'll play this video for you. I don't know how to say this other than I think this country is falling apart. I think this country is falling apart. Because people don't care. I was mentioning before this segment, for those that are watching just the short segment, not the full live show, that after the first assassination attempt on Trump, I was shocked that I was at a casino. I was at Potawatomi in Milwaukee. I was shocked that they didn't turn every TV to the breaking news. I was shocked they didn't get on the intercom and say, ladies and gentlemen, the former president was just shot. This is breaking news. He is safe. I was surprised. Nobody knew. And so I'd asked a few people, did you know that this just happened? Nope. Oh, really? People just don't care. So what we are getting is this surface level platitude. Dr. Jay Varma, this guy, he says, I was actually the one who convinced the mayor to make it a vaccine mandate. He forced people to receive a medical treatment, regardless of doctor's orders. We saw this. Forced. You had to have your card to go to bars. And what was he doing? Well, according to this report, he was having drug-fueled sex parties. Yeah. Committing an untold number of crimes. Now, I'd like to add just the strange degeneracy of what is going on in government. 8 to 10 people standing around having a naked drug-fueled party is weird. But hey, man, I'm fairly libertarian, I don't know. But the hypocrisy is insane. Look, in New York, when people were undergoing these lockdowns and these mandates, restaurants, small restaurants, they've got $20,000 to $30,000 in food inventory in their refrigerators. When they shut the businesses down and people weren't allowed to go and buy food or go out, or heavily restricted, I should say, this food rotted and had to be thrown in the garbage. You have to sell that food. Otherwise, you go out of business. So what happened was when they started to open everything back up and say, you're now allowed to open your store. What was it? 2 weeks to slow the spread. Donald Trump was one who pushed that too. The restaurant said, I don't have 20 grand to restock. And it's going to take, 6 days or whatever to get all the stock back in so that we can start making our sauces and cooking the meats and things like this. But where do we get that money from? You're a restaurant operating on thin margins. You buy $100 worth of meat, you sell it for, $150 or whatever, then you got to pay down all your costs, and you make a tiny profit. Small percentage. If that meat rots, you're negative $100. You need to now reinvest $100. While this is happening, this is what we hear.
I actually was the one who convinced the mayor to make it a mandate.
New York City found out that you were having sex parties during COVID?
Yeah, it would have been a big deal. Yeah, it would have been real bad. We went to some underground dance party underneath a bank in Wall Street. And we were all rolling, we were all taking Molly.
Underneath a bank on Wall Street, we're all rolling, taking Molly.
And everybody's high. And I was so happy because I hadn't done that in a year and a half, a year or whatever. And but I was looking around being I wonder if anybody sees who they're going to do. Because this was not COVID friendly. The only way I could do this job for the city was if I had some way to blow off steam every now and then. Kind of sneaky about it because hotels didn't want people gathering there. Because I was running the entire COVID response for the city. My wife and I had one with our friends, in August of that first summer. So we rented a hotel. It was fun. We all took Molly and just it was or 9 of us, 10 or 8 to 10 of us, somewhere in a room, and everybody had a blast because everybody was like so pent up because it had been like everybody was just like stuck together and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it isn't so much about like some of it's just something about like bodies being close
about being bodies close to each other.
With friends.
Was that like when everyone was locked out?
But it was like the summer of 2020. So like walk around the streets and you could eat outdoors.
Did you have like any mandates in place?
There wasn't any restrictions on gathering. Like you could technically gather people. The hotels didn't want to necessarily have parties, but they weren't gonna like.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's like because I did all this like deviant like sexual stuff while I was like like on TV and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And people were like, aren't you afraid? Aren't you embarrassed? And I was like, no, actually, I'm like really like I love being my authentic self. So the way we do it in public health is we make it very uncomfortable to be unvaccinated. I don't expect your education to change your behavior. I'm just gonna make it really hard for you to do your job.
Wow.
You can't get a job. You can't go to a restaurant. Your kid can't go to school. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna get vaccinated.
So was it technically like kind of forcing you?
Yeah, that's what you force people by making it really uncomfortable.
Wow. Bravo to the Louder with Crowder team. This is massive. Now, I got to tell you guys, we knew this stuff because we're smart, discerning individuals. You can easily surmise, you can easily infer. When they're doing things like no one is being forced to get vaccinated, and then they go, but you can't go to work, you can't go to the movies, you can't see your dying grandfather, because that's just, your choice. They called it a choice. But they knew the game they were playing. I refer to these as social pressure systems. That is, you want to create enough pressure on one side to force someone to take an action that you want, or friction. This is, I was talking about this actually just before we did the segment. Social media, how does censorship work? When they ban Steve Bannon and the War Room from YouTube and all these platforms, everybody's watching. They instantly jump to iTunes or any other platform. So an outright ban doesn't necessarily work. They go after Alex Jones. They do slice off his revenue, but it's taken years to try and stop the man, and he's still doing his show. And he still gets massive viewership. Certainly, they've harmed his business to a great degree. So how do you deal with the problem? What you need to do is construct new habits for people to reverse trends. How they do this is exactly as he's described. You either make it increasingly difficult to do a certain behavior, you make it increasingly easier to do a different behavior, and then you hope that people are stupid enough and fall into those patterns. How does that work in censorship? On the front page of YouTube, you're going to see Stephen Colbert. Colbert is going to lie to you, but it's so easy. They say, we get people who are members. Smash that like button. Become a member at timcast.com to support our work. But members say, it's very hard for me to find the show when it's live. And now I've seen someone super chat the other day saying, I have no problem finding the show because I'm not a moron. But understand the purpose. Someone watches the show frequently, and I'll put it this way. Right now, as we are live, we have 25,555 as I read the concurrent viewership. But there are only 5,839 likes. Certainly, y'all should smash the like button, right? But this is obvious. Some people ask, why is it that there's so many viewers and they won't even bother clicking, I like this? Because many people, and I mean no disrespect to most of you, are passively watching. It's like, I like the show, it's whatever. You don't think too much about it. You turn the show on, you listen, and it's in the background, and then you go about your business. You don't have to do anything for me. You can watch the show. It's free. YouTube knows this. YouTube knows that if they want to ban me outright, they'll create a bunch of press. It could actually raise my profile and send my viewers to other platforms and actually increase my reach by having me be part of a big news cycle story, getting a bunch of attention, so they need an alternate strategy. The way these machines work, very similar to what this COVID czar said, is that they will make it slightly more difficult for those of you that are watching. So the passive viewer who watches relatively often, but doesn't share, doesn't smash the like button, and again, I'm not saying you have to, we just appreciate it if you do. One day, you open up YouTube and you're scrolling and you're like, I can't find it, whatever, I'll watch some other show. And so you do. These are not the core diehard fan, they're the default viewer that they're familiar with the show. I meet people on the street and they'll say, oh, yeah, I watch your show sometimes. That's the kind of individual that doesn't every day turn it on at 8 and say, yeah, woohoo, we got Timcast IRL live. That's the kind of person that says, yeah, I watch sometimes. And if YouTube removes my show from this person's subscriptions, removes the show from their recommendations, doesn't send them notifications the show is live, they're going to say, why is it so hard to find this show? Eventually, they'll just click something different. YouTube says, you can watch stuff you want, but look over here. We've got a shiny liberal talking about the news. Why don't you watch them? Look how easy it is to click Stephen Colbert. And that's how it works. And then over time, viewership declines, subscriber growth declines. And I'll tell you how I know this is true. When we started running ads, we did a bunch of ads in 2022, billboard ads, and that was more of a building a presence in Times Square and in Chicago. New York and Chicago, we ran ads. And I was like, I want to see how this converts. I want to see if it generates attention. And then recently, in the past couple of months, we began running actual YouTube ads. So on YouTube, many of you may have seen them. You may have subscribed because of it. It's just me saying, for the best show in news, come watch Timcast IRL. Click the link, subscribe, see you there. It's been particularly effective. But when I first launched these commercials, Google rejected them for no reason. So I said, it's political. You can't do it. I said, there's nothing in this commercial that's political. It's me saying, watch the best show in news. I said, news, culture, and politics. I said, okay, fine. I will not say politics. For the best show in news and culture, watch Timcast IRL. Nope, it's political. And I said, okay, so I'll remove all imagery. So it's just me in the room with nothing else saying, for the best show in news and culture, watch Timcast IRL, click the link. And they still said, denied. Your ad is politics. And so I appealed, and it got denied, and I appealed again. And I said, explain to me how this falls under any of your restrictions. And they finally relented and said, you're right, it doesn't. And then guess what happened? The episodes that were featured in the original ad got deleted. That's Alex Jones and Joe Rogan, two of the biggest shows we've ever done. 3 years after we did them, deleted with a warning. And I said, it's no coincidence. You see, what they were trying to do is tiny room shadow ban us. Restrict the amount of people who can watch what we do to create pressure so that you can't watch us call this stuff out. I'll bring it back because I don't want to rant too much, but take a look at what is on the page right now. The COVID czar of New York saying he wanted the mandate. He wanted to make your life as miserable and difficult as possible so that you were forced to get the vaccine, even if you didn't want it. And the terrifying thing is, as I called out when this happened, I appeared on Fox News and said, there are no medical exemptions to this. That's insane. No medical exemptions? If your doctor says you can't do it, they're still going to deny you school, still going to deny your work. And this guy the whole time was having drug-fueled sex parties in violation of his own ordinance, orders, whatever. They don't want you to watch a show like this because this show breaks that narrative. They want you to sit down, shut up, and do as you're told, but they have to be clever about it. They can't come out and mandate a vaccine by force. They have to do it by pressure. So we didn't say we'll arrest you. We just said you can't go to your favorite restaurant. Hey, but you have no right to go to a private business. You can walk around the city and go to the park and do whatever you want. But you're not going to hang out with your friends. You're not going to get to go to the movies. You're not going to get to watch that great sporting event. Meanwhile, this dude doing drugs on Wall Street, having orgies. They don't want you to realize that they break all the rules. You know what it's like? Watch that movie Equilibrium with Christian Bale. It's an old dystopian sci-fi film where in the future, everyone's forced to take a drug that suppresses your emotions, so they're all robotic. And there's this guy who's in charge. I forgot his name or whatever. But in the end, what basically ends up happening is Christian Bale's character, who is this like super cop, stops taking the drug and starts experiencing emotions after his partner is revealed to be emotional and is not taking the drug. Christian Bale then decides to shut the system down. And when he confronts the guy who's in charge, as it turns out, the powerful elites were never taking the drug. They were living life to the fullest. They were feeling the full spectrum of emotion while forcing everybody else to live like robots. This is it. So this is the machine they build so that you guys struggle to watch this show. That's why I always say, share the show right now. Because if everybody who watched just clicked the URL, Control-C, post it on X, post it on Facebook and said, hang out in the chat with me, let's chat and watch the news, we would beat that machine that tries to inhibit our ability to watch shows like this or shows like Steven Crowder. But let's read a little bit more about the information here. Enough ranting with how the machine state is trying to shut you down. They say, Loud with Crowder's Mug Club undercover unit released a new video today exposing Dr. Jay Varma, who was former NYC Mayor Bill de Blasio's senior health advisor during the COVID outbreak. Dr. Varma proudly discusses the role he played in city government from 2020 through 21, while claiming full responsibility for NYC lockdown and vaccine policies. Dr. Varma elaborated that he was not quite following his own guidelines when it came to his personal urges. One of those urges included the need to relieve his work stress through participating in sex orgies. You know what YouTube's going to do now? They're going to be like, these are adult topics and we don't want to recommend this. Dr. Varma said that this party had far more people than was allowed at the time, around 200 individuals. And he was worried he would be recognized by the party attendees after demanding that the rest of the city abstain from such activities by law. But what did he say? I liked living my authentic self. Excuse me? He was saying his authentic self was a criminal, defying the law. Okay, this guy should be criminally charged right now. Will the feds actually do anything? I certainly hope that if Donald Trump gets elected, then we can see some action. We went to some like underground dance party underneath a bank on Wall Street. We're all rolling, he said. Not COVID friendly. Dr. Varma's actions as the NYC Covid Czar come in direct conflict to what he was saying in the public while appearing on TV and press conferences at the time. He told the Mug Club journalist what policies he had ownership of and shared his strategy to force NYC residents to comply with his mandates. I was actually the one who convinced the mayor to make it a mandate. So the way we do it in public health is to make it very uncomfortable to be unvaccinated. They didn't get vaccinated because they heard it's safe. They gave in because it was really hard. I remember Casey Neistat. He's a nice guy, Casey. He tweeted something like, go get vaccinated. And I responded with, go talk to your doctor first. And he responded to me, that's weird. I didn't do that. I just pulled up, into a parking lot and I was able to get the vaccine. And I was like, you drove into a parking lot and had a random person you didn't know inject you with a substance you weren't sure of what it was? I'm just saying, talk to your doctor first. What was really crazy about this moment is that I, of course, the milquetoast fence sitter, which is a joke that dates back now 8 or so years, by the way, even though I'm quite not a fence sitter these days. I said, why is there such opposition from the left to me saying, talk to a doctor? Honest question. Talk to your doctor about whether this is right for you. And I got this response from people saying, because the doctor will tell you to get vaccinated, so all you're doing is creating doubt. And I said, if I'm telling people to go have a doctor to tell them to get vaccinated, what's the problem? The reality was this. Some doctors recommended against vaccination for people who suffer Guillain-Barré or other side effects. There are counterindications here. And these people online were losing their minds that I would dare suggest that some people it's not safe. I mean, talk to a doctor. Don't take my word for it. The reality was they wanted you to walk up to 7-Eleven parking lots where there was a stranger with a needle and just let him inject you. That to me is a terrifying reality that we're in. Meanwhile, the people who claimed to be the ones standing up for safety and security were in fact having drug-fueled adult parties under Wall Street. They were lying to you the whole time. So I got to be on, so the Wall Street Journal wrote a whole story about me being the one that blocks Kyrie Irving from playing basketball. He's an ass because he's trying to like I'm not in a position to tell him how to dribble better or how to shoot better. Like I can be a fan and say, oh, I wish he did it. But I can be like, I can't go coach him. Why is he turning around and saying that he won't get vaccinated? Like, I'm not going to tell him he doesn't know how to dribble and he knows what he's doing. Don't tell me how the science works. That's weird. You were complaining that Kyrie Irving wouldn't do what you want while you were breaking all of the rules that you set. See, these people are little dictators. What they want to do is tell you how to live their lives, and they will not follow the same rules. They'll do whatever they want while you suffer because of it. Take a look at climate change. Take a look at these global forums where you have these powerful elites have these meetings where they say, we got to cut down carbon emissions. We've got to reduce the need of our use of carbon. And they're all flying in private jets and they own big mansions. Let me tell you the truth, my friends, the truth. as I see it, because I could be wrong. The issue is not about climate change and never has been. If it was, Barack Obama wouldn't have bought waterfront property in Martha's Vineyard. I mean, the water levels are going to rise and your property is going to be worthless. If it was actually about climate change, then you wouldn't be able to buy any property in Miami Beach because the water levels are rising right now as we speak. If it was actually about climate change, they wouldn't be saying things like, we have only 3 years until the world is over. And then Greta Thunberg deletes the tweet because they're hypocrites. Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe that human beings are causing environmental crises. It takes the form in some way of climate change, animal extinction events, and things like this. There's something called windshield phenomenon, where people notice that you don't see bugs splatter on your car anymore like you used to back in the 90s. The bug populations have been decimated. When COVID lockdowns happened, they said the earth is healing. And interestingly enough, people are reporting that certain, windshield phenomenon is people are now starting to see bugs and stuff. I don't know. I certainly think that there is an issue, but let me tell you the reality. While humans do pollute, and too many humans pollute too much, and we want to figure this problem out, I think we will. The reality is that when these people come out and say, we've got to cut these things down, what they're really saying is, I see a problem ahead in the future, and I don't want to give up my private jet and my beachfront property, so you should. This guy right here exemplifies it perfectly. Hey, there's a pandemic. All of you have to stop working. All of you can't have your kids go to school. No more movies, no more grocery stores, no more restaurants. Shut your business down so that I can keep living my way. That was always the plan. Rules for thee, but not for me. So I suppose we'll see. Indeed, I believe we will see. We'll jump to the next segment for you guys, which I was planning on doing a moment ago, but we'll talk about what's going on with the Middle East and the fears of World War III escalation. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, become a member at timcast.com right now to support our work. I got to tell you this too. If every single person who watched this show, Timcast or Timcast IRL, became a member at timcast.com, we would be bigger than Fox News budget-wise. I mean, I got to tell you, when we get 300,000 views in 4 hours or whatever, if 300,000 people signed up for timcast.com, it'd be crazy. We'd be one of the biggest media companies in the country. And so that's always the big challenge with conversion rate. The people who watch consistently and regularly, how do we convince you to join us in this effort? Some of you can't afford to do it. No harm, no foul. I appreciate you watching the show as it is. We do have sponsors and we do run ads. But consider smashing that like button. Consider sharing this video everywhere you can. And let's fight to make a difference. Next segment will be at 4 p.m. Thanks for hanging out. For those that are watching live, we'll go to your Super Chats.